Oh boy, it's the O Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, CW. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to hit that bell on YouTube and subscribe to the podcast on any and all podcasting platforms. And don't forget to tell a friend, because we're all friends here. Today, we're recapping WrestleMania Night 1, WrestleMania 39. What a wonderful show, huh? Wrestling is great, isn't it? Wrestling is a weird, fun, crazy fandom that makes us say, oh, wrestling, get it? And WrestleMania was no different. I had a very fun time watching Mania. It was a family affair. Whole family was gathered around the TV to watch. That's a lie. I was watching. The rest of the family kind of fell asleep around me while I enjoyed wrestling. I will admit I did fall asleep at one point, mostly because I'm an old father man who was exhausted. But I woke back up in time for the Rhea and Charlotte match, which tore the house down. Congratulations to Rhea Ripley on becoming the SmackDown Women's Champion and putting Charlotte on the shelf, I would think. Maybe. Who knows? She just came back. I was not a huge fan of the build for Rhea versus Charlotte, mostly because Charlotte had not done a lot with the title since she beat Ronda for it. So there was a little bit of like a placeholder. She felt like a placeholder. She felt like a very competent placeholder because there was no real drama with her and anyone else on the SmackDown women's roster. And Rhea Ripley is a Raw lady, so she was coming over to challenge Charlotte. Now that she has the belt, she has to be on SmackDown. So my question is the Judgment Day moving over to SmackDown? If not, are we doing away with the idea that there is a brand split at all? Leading up to WrestleMania, it's kind of, you know, it's accepted that everyone's on every show because they have to promote the biggest, event of the year. But then they usually go back to everyone staying on their own branded shows. Now, who knows? Maybe everyone shows up everywhere. Or maybe they'll have the branded shows. I do not know. But I'm excited to see what happens. Rhea being on SmackDown is much needed. The women's division over there needs a kick in the pants. There are fantastic athletes there, but there's no real movement in any direction. Everyone's just kind of milling about. Like there was some movement with Raquel, and then they pulled back on that. And then they had Ronda, but then she got hurt. And everything just kind of starts and stops. Shotzi, and then Liv Morgan, and everybody's just kind of like stuttering, right? So hopefully Rhea Ripley stomps some flavor into that roster. Outside of that, obviously the biggest tag team match of all time, what they're billing it, hyperbole. The Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. What a great emotional match. Lots of false finishes, lots of great spots. Kevin Owens took to the top rope way more often than normal. Kevin Steen was showing himself through Kevin Owens. It was a fantastic thing to watch. He executed all his moves perfectly. I've noticed that the microphones on these cameras are picking up a lot more of the calls within the ring. So every time a mic or every time a camera came up really close to them to watch the action, you can hear them, telling each other what to do. I'm all for kayfabe. I understand that it's all scripted and they're kind of calling it in the match, but don't let me hear it. I don't want to hear it. It pulls me out of the immersion even more than my own critical mind. But still a fantastic match. The finish had to go to Sami. Every time Kevin went for the pin, I'm like, that's not going to work because it has to be Sami. Sami had to put down Jay. It had to be him. That was the story. And once he tagged in Sami, I was like, well, they're going for the end. And after 3 haluva kicks, the new undisputed tag team champions are Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Good for them. Hopefully they carry the titles for quite a while and build up this tag division even more. Hopefully they can now travel between SmackDown and Raw and put a whole lot more people over. Speaking of tag teams, that Fatal 4-Way tag match was way better than anyone expected and anyone it had any right to be. Basically, it was a spot fest, but it was a spot fest that made sense. Everything flowed really, really well. Lots of feats of strength, Angelo Dawkins getting a huge moment by derailing Braun Strowman's little choo-choo train around the ring, just absolutely crushing him. Kudos to Braun Strowman for selling that so well, and awesome for Dawkins for getting that moment, which then led to the Street Profits winning the whole thing. Great match all around. Gable, I continue to say that he's not underutilized, but he definitely needs a title around his waist. That man can do it all, and had the greatest spot of the match where he did a rolling German suplex on Braun Strowman from the turnbuckle, rolled from the turnbuckle, picked him up, and German suplexed him onto it was amazing. Gable, I hope he got a standing ovation when they went back to the behind the curtain. Fantastic match. Rey Mysterio versus his son. It was fine. The new LWO came out to help battle back Judgment Day. Rey got the win. I didn't want that. I kind of wanted, this was obviously a night for, happy endings, and Rey winning is the happy ending. He got to hug his family in the ring and whatnot. I wanted Dom to win. Not because Dom is better, not because Dom, is super over with me in general, but I think for the story's sake, him beating his dad gives him that shine that he needs to keep being a crappy heel. And I kind of wanted that. But all in all, it was a fine match. And, Rey did his thing. I expected it to be a little tighter, but there were some, spots where you could see that they were miscommunicating. But who am I? I'm not in the ring. It was great. The Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus versus Damage Control match was fine. I kind of tuned out a bit, only because the stakes were so low. And I don't know, I just wasn't super engaged in the match. But the good guys won. Damage Control took another L. I swear, on Raw, they need to break up. This Damage Control has run its course, and it hasn't even been that long. But they got the titles. Bayley's just kind of been floundering. She's not really in any title scenes. She's leading this group to nowhere. And now they've been beat by two old ladies and Becky Lynch. It's just like, come on. Are we done with this damage control? You're not controlling any damage. You're being damaged. So, take a hike. John Cena and Austin Theory pulled the curtain. It was fine. It's John Cena. Again, he's an old dude. He still does it. He can still do the dang thing. He lost by, shenanigans. We all knew he was going out on his back, but they protected him enough that he got, hit in the nuts and then A-Town down, whatever that move is called. And then Austin Theory walked away the winner. Fine. Again, it's fine. It pulled the curtain. It got people, situated in their seats. John Cena, he did his John Cena thing. The fans loved him. All good. Is there another match? I know there was another match, and I'm spacing on. Oh, Miz got beat up by Pat McAfee, which, was fine. My only thing is, I was like, oh, so Pat McAfee got a surprise match at WrestleMania, but Bobby Lashley can't get on the card? Unbelievable. Can't believe it. Don't believe it. Won't believe it. But he beat up the Miz because Miz takes pins. That's what he does. That is his gig. That is his job. He gets paid a lot of money to get pinned by literally everybody, and it's fine. And it was what it was. Snoop Dogg was there. I didn't know Snoop Dogg was co-hosting, but he was. Will he be co-hosting night 2? I do not know. But that's to be seen later tonight. Maybe it's a different celebrity, which would be even cooler. Just have a completely different person come out and help the Miz announce the attendance or whatever. But good on Miz. He got a match at WrestleMania, and that's what counts. All in all, great match. I know I'm forgetting at least one match, but at this point we're coming up on like 20 seconds left, and the harder I think of the match, the further away from my mind it goes. But we covered all the big ones. It was a great evening of wrestling. I don't know. I'm excited for night 2. Cody and Roman. Will the bloodline crack and crumble under the hot lights of WrestleMania 39? We shall see. I'll see you guys there at WrestleMania.
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah.